Fusion vs Justice was one of the most intense matches of the first few weeks of the 2020 Overwatch League season. As the series reached its climax and the score was set at 2-1, the pressure was on for the Fusion, who were looking to prove their critics wrong about their 2020 roster by taking home their first W of the season in front of their home crowd. In this series, we got to see Carpe go full-on carry mode to clutch out maps, some great macro play from both sides, and also a fair share of mistakes from both teams, which show that they still have room to improve. Today, we'll be looking at some of the key moments that stood out during the last map on Anubis between the Philadelphia Fusion and the Washington Justice. We enter the game just after the Fusion have concluded a pretty mediocre attack round. To keep themselves in it, they'll need to put on a strong defense if they hope to walk away with the map win to close out the series. Philadelphia starts off on a bad foot, blowing through some cooldowns as both teams poke at each other, resulting in Sado dying to a combo by Roar and Elivote. This leaves the Fusion in a tough situation, having to try and hold the point in a 5v6 scenario without their Reinhardt. Without Sado on the front line, the Fusion are forced to concede space to the Justice as they regroup in hopes of preventing anyone else from being picked off by the likes of Corey's Hanzo. However, Ivy manages to land a clutch Cryo Blaster shot onto Corey, taking out the Justice's long-range pick potential. Undeterred by Corey's death, the Justice push ahead to take out both Poco and Funny Astro, who were both positioned on the point. With these two picks, the Justice decide to establish a defensive foothold in the health pack room next to the point, but instead, we get to witness the Fusion utilizing the Justice's positioning against them. Thanks to Carpe's pressure with Widowmaker, the Justice are still stuck in the side room, and as they try to advance outside, Elivote suffers serious damage from the Fusion's Mei, who then blocks the stairwell. Sado then charges into the room 1v5 and taking her out in 2 swings, while also catching Stratus with the back end of his swing. With his dying breath, Stratus walls off the exit, locking Sado into a 1v3. Assuming that they can handle a solo Rein, Roar does not put up his shield, and in response, Sado says, and drops his Earth Shatter, knocking 2 of the 3 enemies to the ground, which buys enough time for Alarm to throw in a clutch immortality field to save Sado as the rest of the team rushes in. The Justice are dismantled, and the Fusion prepare for their next attack. The entire play came down to split-second reactions. If Roar had used his charge to peel Sado off his team, or raise his barrier to nullify the shatter, things would have turned out quite differently. Point A is taken by the Justice after a flank by Stratus and Arc break the Fusion's foothold. The Fusion then proceed to mount an impressive defense as the two teams begin to clash over Point B with a series of back and forth skirmishes. In this particular fight, after the Justice have taken 2 picks, things are looking grim for the Fusion. But just as the Justice look to make their push for the point, Ivy finds the perfect spot to unleash his Blizzard on the Justice tanks after walling off the central corridor. While Orisa tanks the CC with her Fortify, Roar isn't as fortunate and gets frozen after almost escaping the ability's area of effect. What follows is a kill feed filled with Carpe's Doomfist as the Fusion DPS cleans up with a 4K.
Manages to find 2!
The waves are out!
Corey, both gonna be taken out, drops down, gets the uppercut, and Carpe again clutches out the defense!
With 16 seconds left on the clock for the Justice's attack, Philadelphia gets cocky, rushing off the point to cut the Justice off outside the archway on point B. This greedy play would prove to be one of the biggest mistakes in the entire series, as the Justice match Blizzard for Blizzard, effectively locking the Fusion in place far from point B. During the chaos, Arc managed to make his way onto point B with no one to contest him, and pulls off the backcap that wouldn't have been possible without the Fusion's hyper-aggressive play.
He just goes ahead and snakes it out right out from underneath of them. Unbelievable!
A sick play by Arc.
With the final round underway, pressure seemed to have gotten to the Justice, and we go into what Reddit would call full spaghetti mode. When it mattered the most on point A's defense, Stratus tries to stall with an ice block, but accidentally jumps off the point, leaving it uncontested. With time winding down to 0, Roar makes a valiant effort to throw his body onto the point, but it's in vain, and the Fusion clean up the Justice and blitz over to point B. While most of the Justice manage to respawn, Funny Astro makes a great boop on Roar, causing him to miss and hit 0 people with his Earth Shatter. As the time winds down, Justice throw everything they have at the Fusion and start to get desperate to defend as a Blizzard comes out from Stratus, and Elivote tries as hard as he can to survive and deal with Funny Astro. But while this chaos is going on, without their main tank to raise a barrier, Carpe goes to town on Hanzo, landing hit after hit to close out the series for the Fusion. At the end of the day, this was definitely a series that had a little bit of everything, and made for some great Overwatch. This series not only showed us the strength of both rosters, but also areas where the two teams have room to grow. Who do you think deserved to win this match? Was Carpe the only reason that the Fusion stayed in it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you next time.
Now be taken down, the supercharger
There's no
fourth
way.
measure. Arc going to be eliminated. Elliot knocked out of the mech, taken down. The Blizzard tossed in celebration. Shatter comes down, and Philly Fusion will be able to do it. They take it 3-1 in their first homestand.
Gotta be breathing sighs of relief, winning their first match or their first homestand here for 2020. Arc almost stole it away with that back cap, and it looked dangerous. It looked risky there for them on A.